the super easy English podcast.
You know that moment when you study English for a long time, you learn the words, you understand the grammar, and then a native speaker says one simple sentence and your brain just freezes?
Yes, and the worst part is this. Sometimes you actually know every word in the sentence.
Exactly. But when they say it, it does not sound like the words you studied.
It sounds like one fast sound, like everything got glued together.
And then you start thinking, maybe my listening is terrible, maybe my English is bad.
But very often, that is not the real problem.
Right. The real problem is that you learned English in its clean form, but people speak English in its connected form.
That is such a big difference. On paper, English looks neat, clear, and organized. In real life, it moves, it blends, it links.
So today, we want to show you something that can completely change the way you hear English.
Because native speakers are not always speaking as fast as you think.
A lot of the time, they're just connecting words in a way your ears were never trained to catch.
And once you notice that, listening gets so much less scary.
Yep, you stop hearing random noise and you start hearing patterns.
And that is where things finally begin to click.
So let's break that down together. Hey everyone,
Welcome to the Super Easy English Podcast.
I'm Marcus,
And I'm Gabby.
and today we're talking about one of the biggest reasons English feels so fast.
Not because people speak like robots on fast forward, but because words don't stay separate in real conversation.
Yes, they connect, and if you only learn the clean textbook version, real English can feel shocking.
It really can, because in textbooks, every word has its own nice little space.
But in conversation, those spaces almost disappear.
So let's start with a sentence a lot of learners already know. What are you going to do?
On paper, that sentence looks super clear. What are you going to do?
7 clean little pieces.
But when someone says it naturally, it often becomes, what you gonna do?
And that is the problem right there. A learner is waiting to hear, what are you? But what actually arrives is, whatcha?
So your brain starts searching for the wrong sound.
Yes, and while your brain is still looking for the perfect textbook version, the sentence is already gone.
That is why listening can feel so cruel sometimes.
Because it's not always about vocabulary, it's often about recognition.
Such an important point. You may know the words, you just do not recognize them in real speech.
Let's do another one. Did you eat?
Great example. In a classroom, maybe you hear, did you eat?
Very clean, very careful.
But in normal speech, did you often becomes didja.
Did you eat?
And that sounds nothing like the written version if your ears are not ready for it.
It really doesn't. Some learners hear that and think, what is didja?
Like it's a new word.
Exactly, but it's not a new word, it's just connected speech.
And this happens all the time. Want to becomes wanna.
Going to becomes gonna.
Have to becomes hafta.
And these are not weird mistakes. This is extremely common spoken English.
Right, this is not bad English. This is natural rhythm.
And once you understand that, you stop getting angry at yourself.
Because then the problem becomes clear. You do not need to learn a whole new language.
You need to learn how the language changes when people actually speak it.
And that is a much more hopeful problem.
It really is.
Also, if this episode is helping already, make sure you subscribe, click like, and share the podcast with a friend or family member. It really helps the channel and helps us keep making lessons like this.
Okay, so let's talk about why this creates so much panic.
I think one reason is that learners expect spoken English to respect spelling.
Yes, and spoken English does not care about spelling nearly as much as learners want it to.
Not at all. Spoken English cares about rhythm, comfort, and flow.
That is why words get reduced, blended, and softened.
So if you're listening with your eyes, you will struggle.
I love that phrase, listening with your eyes.
Because that's what many learners do. They're mentally looking at the written sentence while someone is speaking.
And real speech moves too fast for that strategy.
Exactly. You can't wait for every word to sound perfect and separate.
You have to start hearing chunks.
Yes, chunks, patterns, sound groups.
Not just word by word by word.
Let's say someone says, "What do you want to do?"
A learner may expect 4 or 5 very clear pieces.
But in real life, it can sound closer to what do you want to do?
And if you have never trained your ear for that, it feels impossible.
But once you learn the pattern, it becomes familiar.
That is the magic. Familiarity changes everything.
So how do you train this?
First, stop using only slow, perfect English as listening practice.
Yes, that's a big one.
Because if all your listening comes from very slow educational audio, real life will still feel like a shock.
You need some natural English in your routine. Podcasts, interviews, vlogs, relaxed conversations.
Things where people sound human.
Second, don't panic when you miss parts.
That's huge. So many learners hear one confusing sound and mentally give up.
But good listeners don't need to catch everything instantly.
They stay calm, keep listening, and use the rest of the sentence for meaning.
Third, replay short moments.
Yes, not 10 minutes, not 20 minutes, just one small sentence.
Listen once, listen again, then check the subtitles or transcript.
And when you see the sentence, you'll often think, wait, I know these words.
That moment is powerful.
Because your brain starts connecting the written form with the real sound.
And that's exactly the bridge you need.
Another great tool is shadowing.
Absolutely. Hear it and repeat it right away.
If someone says, what you gonna do, repeat that exact rhythm.
Not the classroom version.
Right, copy the real version.
Because when your mouth learns the music of connected speech, your ears get better at hearing it too.
It's almost like your speaking helps your listening.
It really does.
And one more thing. Please don't think you need to sound perfect on day one.
Yes, you're training awareness first.
At the beginning, even just noticing, oh, that was gonna, is progress.
Huge progress.
Then, little by little, fast English stops sounding like a wall.
It starts sounding like connected pieces you actually know.
And that changes your confidence so much.
So let's bring it all together.
Native speakers often sound fast because they link words.
They blend sounds.
They reduce sounds.
They speak in chunks, not isolated dictionary words.
So the solution is not just more grammar and more vocabulary lists.
The solution is training your ears to hear real spoken patterns.
Cleaner English helps you learn. Real English helps you understand people.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
So next time you hear something like didja, wanna, gonna, or whatcha, don't panic.
Pause and ask yourself, what clean sentence is hiding inside that sound?
That one question can change the way you listen.
And over time, you'll stop freezing so much.
Because you're no longer waiting for dictionary English.
You're learning to hear street English.
And that's what real conversations are made of.
We want to ask you something before we go.
What English phrase always sounds confusing when native speakers say it fast?
Tell us in the comments. We'd love to use your examples in a future episode.
And if this episode helped you, don't forget to subscribe, click like, and share it with someone who also feels like native speakers sound way too fast.
Keep listening, keep noticing the patterns, and keep going.
You're probably much closer than you think.
See you in the next episode.
Catch you later.
Super Easy English Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Super Easy English Podcast.